What's up, mates? I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. So, for this episode, we're going to go back to the land down under to look at a film that's both recent and underrated. Now, I know I already looked at films like Joey and The Rescuers Down Under, but this is going to be something very, very different. Now, those of you who have been watching my show lately might have noticed that throughout this year, I have been collecting DVDs based on animated films that were originally on streaming services like Netflix, thanks to my Walmart app. Those films being 2019's Klaus, 2020's Over the Moon and the Willoughbys, 2021's Wish Dragon, 2022's Luck and the Sea Beast, 2023's Mummies, The Magician's Elephant, Nimona, and Miraculous Ladybug and Cat Noir the movie, and of course 2024's Orion and the Dark, Thelma the Unicorn, Spellbound, That Christmas, and a few others. However, there are still several animated streamed films that I still want to own, like Charming, Bigfoot Family, and a couple others. And the film that I'll be sharing today is another one that I feel is worth owning on DVD, if possible. So, released on Netflix on December 10th, 2021, the movie is Back to the Outback. Now, on for the plot of the movie. Tired of being locked in a reptile house where humans gawk at them like they're monsters, a ragtag group of Australia's deadliest creatures plot a daring escape from their zoo to the outback, a place where they'll fit in without being judged for their scales or their fangs. Leading the group is Maddie, a poisonous snake with a heart of gold, who bands together with a self-assured thorny devil lizard named Zoe, a lovelorn hairy spider named Frank, and a sensitive scorpion named Nigel. But when their nemesis, Pretty Boy, a cute but obnoxious koala, unexpectedly joins their escape, Maddie and the gang have no choice but to take him with them. So begins a hair-raising and hilarious road trip across Australia as they are pursued by the zookeeper, Shaz, and his adventure-seeking Mini-Me. So, what do I think of this movie? Well, in my personal opinion, while it's not one of the best animated films of 2021 compared to films like The Mitchells vs. the Machines, Vivo, Luca, Raya and the Last Dragon, or Encanto, I find it to be a really fun movie, and it's one that I consider as one of the most underrated of that year. Plus, believe me, it's a much better movie than America the Motion Picture. But now, let's move on to Mustang notes. Writer and director Harry Cripes had previously created the concept for the canceled film Larrikins with DreamWorks Animation, which was also supposed to feature a score and music by Tim Minchin. The project was revived as a short film titled Bilby in 2018. In an interview with The Wrap, Cripes said that Larrikins had focused on the cute animals, and so I didn't want to go back to the same road. I went to the dark side. Claire Knight, whose previous animated film experience includes her work as lead editor of the Kung Fu Panda franchise, said that a lot of executives would say to us, "A snake? Snakes aren't huggable. Does your lead have to be a snake?" And it was a challenge for us that we really wanted to make these animals appealing. Initially, while Netflix was concerned about the huggability of the animal cast, both Knight and Cripes said that working for the streaming giant's animation unit was positively heavenly. It's been great. Again, we're first-time directors, so Netflix is willing to give us a shot and give us a voice so we really feel great. We would have felt if this was DreamWorks, we possibly would have been pigeonholed as writer and editor and not necessarily have been given this chance. And the fact that we reached such a big global audience with this great depiction of Australia, I think, is a wonderful thing for us. Also to note, in the week following its worldwide release, the film reached top 10 lists on Netflix in 64 countries, including Australia and the United States, and it won the Reframe stamp for narrative and animated feature. Now, what are my thoughts on the animation? Well, in my opinion, the CGI is pretty good. I really love how the animators depicted Australia, from the city of Sydney to the Australian Outback. And I think the character designs look good too, though some of them can be a bit cartoony at times. Plus, the film also shows some breathtaking 2D animation whenever Maddie sings her lullaby song. Speaking of which, I think Thelma Plum does a really sweet job singing said lullaby. As for the story, well, in my opinion, it is kind of similar to DreamWorks' Madagascar, where a group of zoo animals escape and run away into the wild. But it's not a direct copy and paste, thank goodness. Plus, what I find cool is that throughout the movie, the main characters come across several creatures from the USS, which is short for Ugly's Secret Society. These creatures consist of a great white shark, a redback spider, some Tasmanian devils, a dung beetle, a bat, 2 razorback boars, and a platypus. And the only way to summon them for help is to say the USS password, which is, I'm ugly, you're ugly, we should all be this ugly, ugly is the new beautiful. And that's all I have to say about Mustang notes. So let's move on to the characters and the voice actors who brought them to life. The leader of the group, Maddie, is voiced by Isla Fisher, whom was in 2002's Scooby-Doo, Blue Sky's Horton Hears a Who, 2011's Rango, DreamWorks' Rise of the Guardians, and she voiced a wee sprite in Sophia the First. She also got to act in The Great Gatsby and Now You See Me, which is getting a sequel this November. Now, to be honest, Maddie is my reason for blogging this movie, since this is the year of the snake zodiac, and funny enough, I did encounter a snake during work at Target a few weeks ago on July 2nd. Anyway, I really like Maddie. She's kind, caring, friendly, benevolent, intelligent, polite, and very sensitive. She loves spending time with her friends or helping others, but for some serious reason, her optimism can be ruined because if something horrible happens to her or her friends, she often cries. At first, Maddie believed that humans would love her, but seeing that Chaz didn't really care about her and that everybody got scared when they saw her, Maddie sank into depression, not considering herself special, before deciding to give up this life of prejudice for a free life in the Outback. Plus, to me, I thought Maddie's backstory, which was shown while she was singing her lullaby song, was actually very touching. Next we come to Maddie's friends. Frank, a lovelorn Australian funnel web spider, voiced by Guy Pearce. Zoe, a smart, self-assured thorny devil, voiced by Miranda Tapsell. And Nigel, a timid marbled scorpion, voiced by Angus Emery. To me, these 3 may be deadly creatures according to science, but deep down, I find them to be very cute and funny at times. Plus, I think Frank has pretty good dancing skills, Zoe is quick-witted and sarcastic at times, and Nigel is very kind and polite. Plus, His stinger comes in handy when it comes to navigating tricky situations. Another member of the party is Pretty Boy, a self-centered koala voiced by Tim Minchin, who voiced in Peter Rabbit 2, The Runaway, and he wrote the songs for Matilda the Musical, another film that I'd love to own on DVD or Blu-ray someday. Anyway, this character serves as the zoo's mascot who is loved by the public, and in my personal opinion, while he is confident and adorable, for a majority of the movie, Pretty Boy seems like someone you just love to despise due to his spoiled attitude. But as the movie progresses, he begins to soften up by learning the value of friendship and that fame is very fleeting. Also, I thought the coolest scene involving Pretty Boy was when he drives a fire engine at the film's climax. Our next character is Jackie, a motherly saltwater crocodile voiced by Jackie Weaver. To me, while she doesn't have a lot of screen time, I find her to be a very loving, affectionate, and kind character, and I like that she treats Maddie and the others like her own children. Plus, while it was sad that she was taken away after an incident involving Chaz's son, it's later revealed that Jackie is the head of the USS and that she's been in contact with members of that organization who have been helping the group along their journey. Finally, we come to the zookeeper, Chaz Hunt, and his son Chazzy, voiced by Eric Bana and Diesel La Taraka. At first glance, Chaz seemed like a macho hero figure to the public, and he seemed like a loving person due to him raising Maddie after finding her egg in the road. And Chazzy, well, he's a young boy who looks up to his dad as a role model due to Chaz telling him stories about his adventures with dangerous animals. Throughout the movie, Chaz and Chazzy try to hunt down Maddie and her friends after they escape from the zoo. To me, I find these two to be not 100% villainous. Sure, they can be cocky and arrogant at times, and they're a bit mean-spirited towards Maddie and the gang, treating them like monsters, but I found it pretty surprising that Chaz's tough hunter masculinity was actually a layer to hide the cowardice that he had from danger, and his childhood backstory was actually quite shocking. But at least I'm glad that Chaz cares for his son and will do anything to make him proud. And I'm glad that both Chaz and Chazzy gain a change of heart near the end of the movie. Other voices in the film include Keith Urban, Kylie Minogue, Rachel House, and Wayne Knight. And now, on to my final words. Overall, Back to the Outback is a pretty fun animated film to come from Netflix. While it is pretty similar to Madagascar, I find it to be both a thrilling, adventurous, and heartwarming film. The main characters, while dangerous in real life, are cute, funny, and huggable. I liked the use of the USS members during the journey, and while Chaz and his son are kind of mean-spirited at times, and they can be labeled as stalking villains, at least they're not 100% evil. Also, I think the CGI animation is pretty good, and the voice acting is spectacular. Plus, I think the humor in this movie was pretty decent, but sometimes a bit gross. Anyway, if you'd like to watch a film with cute and misunderstood animals and a thrilling journey in Australia, then be sure to tune into Netflix to watch it. And I really do pray that it gets a physical home media release someday. As for my rating, I'll give it a 91% out of 100. Well, that's all for now, mates. Be sure to join me next time because I'm gonna go shark hunting, and just in time for his 50th anniversary. Mustang Power.